Welcome to the deep dive.
Good to be here.
So today we're looking at a potentially really significant legislative strategy, something House Republicans are floating, and it seems former President Trump is quite involved.
Right. And our main source for this dive is an analysis from the Ring of Fire YouTube channel. They recently put out a video. The title was pretty blunt.
Oh, yeah. What was it?
Something like, Trump pushes House Republicans to do dumbest thing possible.
Okay, so no mincing words there. And the core issue they're tackling.
It's this idea, this proposal, to basically bundle all of Trump's main agenda points into one enormous bill.
One single bill. Wow, that sounds ambitious.
Extremely ambitious. And the Ring of Fire analysis really questions the wisdom of that approach, especially, given how incredibly tight the Republican majority is in the House right now.
Right. That narrow majority is key here. So the tension is basically, is this one big, beautiful bill, as Trump apparently calls it, actually workable? Or is it, as the analysis suggests, maybe not the smartest play?
Exactly. That's the core conflict we're going to unpack.
Okay, so let's start with where this really came into public view. Speaker Mike Johnson, right?
Yeah, it sees his appearance on Maria Bartiromo's show on Fox News kind of kick off the wider discussion.
And what did he actually say? What's the plan?
Well, he basically outlined this strategy, taking all these different policy goals that are associated with Trump's agenda.
Things like border security, taxes.
Exactly. Bartiromo brought those up: border stuff, deportations, extending tax cuts. Johnson confirmed the idea is to roll them all into one massive piece of legislation.
Okay, and the logic behind that. Why do it that way?
Johnson's reasoning, or at least what he presented, is that doing it this way forces a single straightforward up or down vote on the whole package.
Ah, I see. The theory being
Right.
that enough people will like something in it to vote yes.
Sort of, yeah. The idea seems to be that if you pack enough different things in there, you'll gather enough support from various factions within the party, enough carrots maybe to outweigh the sticks for different members.
And Bartiromo mentioned Senator Graham had a different idea, a two-step approach.
She did, referencing Lindsey Graham, suggesting maybe, tackle border security and maybe defense first, then do other things later, a more phased approach.
And Johnson's take on that?
Well, interestingly, he acknowledged these different strategies have been talked about, specifically with Trump.
Okay.
And while Johnson said he respected the two-step idea, he also made it pretty clear that Trump himself really prefers this one big, beautiful bill method.
Got it. So Trump is pushing for the bundle, which brings us back to the Ring of Fire's critique.
Yeah, and their critique is pretty harsh, as the title suggested. They basically call it the dumbest thing possible.
Strong words. What's their reasoning for saying that?
Their argument centers on the risk, the fundamental risk of bundling so many different potentially controversial issues together.
Because you might lose people.
Exactly. They argue you make it more likely to lose votes. You might have a Republican who all for the tax cut, say, but strongly against some immigration part, or vice versa.
Right. If you bundle them, that lawmaker faces a tough choice.
And the analysis suggests, based on, how Congress tends to work,
Yeah.
that if a lawmaker really dislikes even one major part of a bill, they're probably just going to vote no on the whole thing. They don't want to be on record supporting the part they hate, even if they like other stuff.
That makes sense. You don't want to swallow the poison pill just to get the candy.
Precisely. So the Ring of Fire is really skeptical of Johnson's idea that just having lots of stuff in the bill will somehow, magically pull everyone along, as they put it.
They don't buy that logic.
Not at all. They use terms like dumbest thing ever, even idiotic, to describe the strategy. It shows, a deep disbelief in its chances.
And it's important to remember, as the analysis points out, this isn't just Johnson's baby, right?
Correct. They make it very clear they attribute this strategy directly to Donald Trump.
So the assertion is Trump has been actively pushing for this one big, beautiful bill approach himself.
That's what the analysis claims, yes.
Yeah.
But the push is coming from him.
Okay, let's talk about that political reality. The House majority. It's incredibly slim.
Oh, razor thin. And that's maybe the biggest practical hurdle here.
How thin are we talking? How many votes can they afford to lose?
The analysis suggests maybe just a couple. Literally, if only 2 or 3 Republicans decide to vote no, assuming the Democrats vote together against it.
Which they likely would on a big Trump agenda bill.
Right. Then the whole thing fails. It's that precarious.
So every single vote is absolutely critical, which makes bundling more things together seem even riskier, potentially.
That's exactly the point the Ring of Fire hammers home. The more items you include, the more potential reasons you give your own members to peel off and vote no. You create multiple potential failure points.
Has this kind of thing been tried before? Does history offer any lessons here?
Well, the analysis mentions that just generally the history of Congress shows lawmakers do tend to vote against bills with parts they strongly oppose.
Even if there are good parts too.
Even then, yeah. Often it's about protecting their position on certain issues, or maybe trying to force separate votes later where they have more leverage. It's not uncommon to see omnibus bills fail for exactly these reasons.
So this whole strategy feels like a massive gamble.
Unquestionably. The analysis calls it a significant gamble, a really big risk.
And the consequences if it fails, it's not just the policies not passing, right?
No, the analysis points out potential consequences for Speaker Johnson himself, his leadership, his authority.
If he pushes this huge bill at Trump's urging and it crashes and burns, that could weaken his positions significantly.
It absolutely could, especially given how fragile House leadership can be sometimes. It's a high-stakes play for him personally, too.
Wow. And the analysis even brings in Trump's business background.
Yeah, they make a pretty pointed comparison, drawing an analogy to Trump's history with bankruptcies.
Oof. What's the implication there?
The implication, reading between the lines, seems to be questioning the wisdom of taking such a huge, potentially reckless legislative gamble, drawing a parallel to past high-risk ventures. It's a way of framing the strategy as potentially ill-advised.
Okay, so let's try to pull this together. We have this one big, beautiful bill strategy pushed by Trump being pursued by Speaker Johnson.
Right. The idea is load everything up, hope the total package gets enough votes to pass in one go.
But the Ring of Fire analysis throws up some major red flags.
Big time. They argue that bundling everything actually increases the risk of failure because of that tiny House majority. Any single controversial item could sink the whole ship.
So the key takeaway here seems to be this fundamental conflict. The desire for a big unified win versus the very tricky math of getting anything through such a narrowly divided House.
Exactly. What sounds like a strong move, putting it all out there, might actually be strategically fragile in practice. Opposition to just one piece could kill the whole agenda.
It really makes you think, doesn't it? For our listeners, maybe the final thought is, in this kind of super polarized environment with margins this thin, what does effective legislative strategy even look like? If the big bundle is maybe too risky, what other paths are there?
That's the million-dollar question, isn't it? Definitely something to chew on regarding how politics actually gets done or doesn't get done these days.